Good morning, everybody. I know this isn't a normal crowd, but can we get a good morning? It's a beautiful day. A couple days before the Nats finally take it back after a couple of losses. But speaking of taking it back, today is an assembly of leaders from this county, from the federal level to the city and municipality level, here to speak out regarding the CCT. I want to start us off with our county executive, but there are a couple of shout outs that we need to give. First to Kathy Matthews, our Up County Regional Service Center Director. I think she's out here. We also have Joan Kleiman here representing Senator Van Hollen's office. I think we have Andrew Dunyan from Congressman Trone's office. Is he here? Okay. Let's see. I got a couple of lists here, so I'm trying to follow them all. I also have here, also have here Lily from Councilmember Albanez's office. I think she's back here. Okay. I thought they were standing out there. So I'll announce others as we move through this, but I first want to start off bringing to the microphone our county executive who is leading this charge, Mr. Marc Elrich.
So the good thing is I don't have to lead it by myself. There's a lot of support for this. I want to thank, I've got a complete list of everybody who's here, so let me make sure I get this right. Ken Riker from Senator Cardin's office. Joan's already been mentioned. Kathleen Connor from Jamie Raskin's office. Andrew Donlin from Congressman Trone's office. Delegates Fraser Eldago and Kirill Resnick. Council members, Sidney Katz, Craig Rice, Evan Glass, and Lillian Cruz is here for Gabe Albanaz. I've got Mayor John Compton from Washington Grove, Commissioner Klobakowski from Poolesville, Rockville Mayor Bridget Newton. We've got representatives from the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber, Marilyn Balcom, and Mr. Scritch, it says Scritchfield, okay, did I get it right? And we've got Clarksburg Chamber and Up County Citizens Advisory Board members here. Did I miss anybody? Good. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Corridor Cities Transitway. It has been on the books for 20 years. And it's been on the books for 20 years for a reason. It was key to the development we did in Clarksburg. The whole point of making a development in the northern part of the county that would work was assuring that it was going to be connected further south by transit. And that was something that was supposed to come along with this project. It did not happen what it should have happened, but that project still needs to happen today. We have many people in the northern part of the county who essentially are stranded. And this is not a solution that works for Montgomery County. They're auto-dependent, they have to crawl onto I-270 every day. That is an absolutely impossible trek. We hear all the time about how long it takes to get here. I talked to the guys who come down from Frederick County and work in my office, and we're talking about an hour and a half to do what I could do in 45 minutes on a nice day. This situation is intolerable and needs to be addressed. The governor talked about this as a local road project. This is not a local road project. This is a jobs project and an economic development project. The county made a huge investment and a big zoning decision in creating the Science Center over here around Shady Grove. That was a deliberate decision to try to bring science to a part of the county we could develop, and critical to that was the Corridor Cities Transitway. In fact, that development couldn't be supported without the Corridor Cities Transitway. And to make matters worse, this project will soon reach its capacity in stage 1 and will not be able to go to stage 2 without the Corridor Cities Transitway. So the governor talks about our Science City, and he talks about the importance of it and how this is the center not only the state of Maryland, but Montgomery County's economic development strategy. It brings jobs. It makes us notable on the map of America. We're like the #4 center in the country, despite not having a research lab attached to it. And so this is an important part of our economy. It is not simply a local road or a local transportation project. So in order for Corridor Cities Transit to go, in order for the Corridor Cities Science Gateway to go forward, we have to have the Corridor Cities Transitway. The state pulled this in 2016 when it postponed additional funding after making a $38 million investment. My office heard their concerns about the route of the CCT. We proposed changes to the route that we thought would make it more amenable to the state. We had discussions last winter. We seemed to address the concerns that the state had. So suddenly to have the rug pulled out of the Corridor Cities Transitway, and to be fair to the governor, he killed every transit project in the state of Maryland other than the Purple Line, which says a lot about his lack of interest in transit. But it's a major blow to us, and it's something we need him to reverse. We're hoping that he didn't realize the impact on the science development up here. We're hoping that the people who advised him talked about it only as a transit project and not about its importance as an economic development project. We've got the Universities of Shady Grove, we've got a campus for Johns Hopkins, we've got the National Cancer Institute there, we've got more major industries or more major companies than I can list. This fire station was planned to accommodate the CCT and the growth that we saw happening here. So we're here to tell the governor, let's put this back on track. We're willing, as we were before, to continue to work with them on routing issues, if routing issues are their concern. But this is about economic development. Everybody behind me understands this is about economic development. And yes, a broken promise to the community of Clarksburg. But at the end of the day, this is about economic development. We need the governor who talks about economic development, who says this is his job #1, to make sure he realizes that the #1 center in the state of Maryland is waiting for his help. So get back on board, get back on the bus, and let's make this project move forward. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Sidney Katz. I'm the Vice President of the County Council, and today we're here to thank everyone who's involved and for putting on this press conference so quickly. Let me say it very clearly. Montgomery County needs multimodal solutions. Multimodal solutions. Just a few days ago, my colleagues and I, along with the county executive, sent a letter to Secretary Ron clarifying the county's position on the 495 and I-270 managed lane study. I'm not going to reiterate that at this moment, but I can tell you what has been discussed is a terrible decision about the CCT, taking it from the draft 2020 to 2025 Consolidated Transportation Program. The CCT has been, as County Executive Elrich stated, the CCT is a crucial, underline the word crucial, for the economic growth of the Life Science Center corridor. And this is a great concern for all of us. I was the mayor of Gaithersburg, and I know Gaithersburg is in the crowd as well. We mentioned others. But Gaithersburg, I was mayor of Gaithersburg, and this was worked through. This is for the economic area, the economic development for this entire area. I believe it does need to be a different alignment. I think that before it's built, we should have the best alignment possible. I know it's going to cause some other discussions, but that's very necessary to have. We need to do that. And this decision must, underline the word, must be reconsidered for the CCT, because it's got to be part of the multimodal solutions, and we need it to serve our residents and our businesses. Thank you all for being here. Let me introduce, please, my colleague and friend, Greg Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Sidney, and I'm going to be brief. Look, the governor is guilty of promises unfulfilled and promises unkept. We made a promise to our constituents, we made a promise to our businesses that we were going to ensure that there would be transit options available to them. When people put forth their life savings into their homes, as well as into starting some of their businesses, when we recruited businesses to come here, it was with the understanding that they would have multimodal approaches when it came to ensuring that their workers would be able to get to work. While we support the road improvements along 270, we also need to make sure that we also have transit options that include the Corridor City Transitway. Now, for those who want to say that, well, this project's too expensive and therefore we can pull this project back, I will say this: we can't afford not to do this project. We still have land that is out there that is undeveloped, that is ripe for investment by key companies across this United States as well as globally. And if we are not committed to making sure that this Corridor City Transitway happens, we jeopardize the potential from those businesses coming here and investing in Montgomery County. That means a loss not only to Montgomery County, but the state of Maryland as a whole. And that's why this decision by the governor is one that is very questionable. So I would ask you, Mr. Governor, are you truly committed to economic development? Are you truly committed to the promise? Or are you more sold about selling Thrasher's French fries and funnel cakes on the Eastern Shore than you are about ensuring that Montgomery County and the state of Maryland becomes the hub for biotech in the United States? Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Evan Glass. I serve on the Transportation Committee, and the CCT is an important project about individual mobility, but it is even more important to recognize the economic mobility that this project will provide. The greatest indicator of an individual's ability to move up the economic ladder is that person's ability to access our transportation networks. And by leaving the Up-County high and dry, as the governor has done, he is leaving hundreds of thousands of people out of the economic ladder so that they can't reach their fullest potential. And what we also know about public transportation is that when a public transportation node is built within a half mile of someone's house, they are 5 times as likely to take that system. So the fact that the CCT, if the governor gets his wish, will be off the map is leaving hundreds of thousands of people high and dry. We cannot accept that for the economic mobility of our residents and for the economic development of Montgomery County's future. I'd like to introduce Delegate Resnick now.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Resnick. I'm a state delegate from District 39, which incorporates the geographic heart of Montgomery County and would be served by the CCT along with the cities of Gaithersburg and the rest of the Up-County. I want to thank the county executive for organizing this event and to all of my colleagues for standing with us today. The removal of the Corridor City Transitway is an unfortunate part of a long line of signals that the Hogan administration has sent in their hostility towards transit. From initially hiring Secretary Pete Ron, who he described as a roads guy when he was nominated, to canceling the Baltimore Red Line and sending almost $1 billion of federal money back to the federal government. I'm sure the folks in Kansas or Missouri or Nevada are all grateful to Maryland for giving them the money back. To nearly canceling the Purple Line until Montgomery and Prince George's were forced to pick up the state's commitment on that project, and to today, when they have completely removed the CCT from the Consolidated Transportation Plan. I'm not opposed to building roads. I'm not opposed to expanding roads. But to do so exclusively and at the cost of transit is short-sighted. We cannot continue to propose 20th century solutions to 21st century problems. Up-County Montgomery County is no longer a sleepy exurb full of a small middle-class community. We are a growing and flourishing community with individuals from every socioeconomic class and working in every aspect of our economy. Roads alone will not provide the solution that our community needs. We need transit as well. It is unconscionable that we trap people into limited opportunities because they can't afford a car, because they can't afford the gas or the insurance that goes with a car, or because they can't afford the exorbitant tolls that will be charged along an expanded and privatized I-270. The CCT is critical to our community, but I've stated this in the past and I say this now. It is not a perfect project. I have been critical of Governor O'Malley when they kept cutting that program down over and over and over again, and I'm critical of the Hogan administration for completely taking it off the board. If there is a silver lining to this at all, is that this is an opportunity for all of us to rethink the project and first we have to restore it back onto the Consolidated Transportation Plan. As the county executive mentioned, we will work with the state to make sure that the program aligns with the state's needs, with the community's needs, and that it is the most efficient and effective use of our state tax dollars that we can hope for. But we have to get it back on the plan first. We cannot sit here and wait for a roads project to be built and have this transit project be held hostage by more concrete being poured and roads expanded and more cars being pushed out onto the roads. It's time to restore it. It's time to work together with the county, and let's rethink this project, think it through all the way, and build it for the benefit of everyone in the Up County, in Montgomery County, and for the benefit of everyone in the state of Maryland. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Bridget Donnell-Newton. I have the privilege of serving as mayor of the city of Rockville, where this conversation has been taking place for the past 10 years. It's critical that we reinstate the CCT, but that we also work together to figure out the best alignment. This isn't just an equity or an economic development issue. This is an environmental issue. And to put it down the center of King Farm Boulevard and take away the green space and the beautiful trees and pretty much destroy a vista is not the right way to go, when it could go right here on Shady Grove Road and be an economic development engine for the city of Rockville, Montgomery County, and the city of Gaithersburg. I've had the privilege of being at the University of Shady Grove twice in the last 2 weeks. The students don't have enough parking. Let's give them transit so that they can come to the metro and get to school. Let's work together to solve this problem, and I stand with all my colleagues, because when we do work together, we will get things done. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marilyn Baltham. I am the president and CEO of the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce, and I've been working on the Corridor Cities Transitway since the day I started over 14 years ago. This project has been a priority of ours for 20 years. As a county executive mentioned, this is a jobs project. We need transportation to get people from their homes to their jobs, and without transit, that's not going to happen. When people talk about roads versus transit, my response, it's in all of the above approach. We can't solve this problem on the I-270 corridor without increased road capacity, much more increased transit. We need work at home, we need bicycle lanes, we need pedestrian safety, we need all of the above. And pulling the CCT was a low blow to my community. I live in Germantown, I work in Gaithersburg, and we need this project to get back on track. Thank you.
So I just want to add that Louis Cheese joined us. Thank you for coming down. So I'm going to close this out. We think this is an important moment. Montgomery County is united in getting this project back into play, and we're hopeful the governor will think about his economic development roots and recognize that he needs this in order to grow the way he thinks the state should grow. So I'll thank you all for coming out here today, and thank you all for participating with us. And if there are any questions, I'm sure somebody can take them.
County Executive, have you had a chance to speak to the governor personally about this issue? And if so, what was his response?
So we spoke with Secretary Ron. We have not spoken to the governor yet. We have talked, though, to any number of people on his staff, Secretary of Commerce Kelly Schultz, Ben Wu, who works for him. We are trying to reach out so we can have a meeting and get this get him to understand what the significance of this project is.
When did that happen?
Yeah. We're working on this. Anybody else? Yeah.
Well, you say it's back in play, but what exactly is back in play?
Well, back in play would be for him to put it into the plan so we can then look at the issues around the route, just like we did with State Highway back in the winter. We went out to them and just said, okay, we understand your objections. We worked on some alternatives and we presented them, and we thought we had actually a better understanding, and now that understanding is undone, so we need it back so we can get the work done.
What is the current cost estimate, and is there any way that Montgomery County could afford to pay for it?
Depends who you talk to. I've seen estimates as high as $800 million. I've seen estimates that are half that. We think we can deliver this project for less. I thought that I looked at the original plan and I thought it was gold-plated and made unnecessarily expensive. And we've offered alternatives that actually can significantly save money.
And is there any way that the county could afford to do this on its own?
It would not be an easy thing to do. I mean, it competes with every other capital project and all the schools. We've tried to reduce the amount of capital funding in order to manage debt a little bit better. This would be a large project. It would be better if we did it in partnership. One of the things I've tried to tell the state and the governor's people is that anything you stimulate in Montgomery County in economic growth, they see the economic benefit at the state level. We know the stories about how much money stays in Annapolis that comes out of Montgomery County. My view is that the state ought to look at this and say, well, if we're going to keep this much money, it's actually in our interest to have Montgomery County grow. I don't think they fully understand the importance that Montgomery County plays to all the other counties in Maryland. The money that builds projects all across the state is money often that originates here. They should be helping us, not hurting us. Yeah.
Hi, Maryland State Delegate David Fraser Hidalgo. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because everybody's already spoken about it, but I represent District 15, and that's Clarksburg and Germantown. Tonight we are having an up-county town hall at the Germantown campus of Montgomery College and the engineering department to talk about all of these issues. Everything is on the table, and I would encourage anybody that wants to come tonight. We're going to have SHA, we're going to have Montgomery County Department of Transportation, we're going to have MDTA, and it's going to be a town hall. Many of the elected officials you see behind me today are going to be up there to learn and listen to the communities that are most affected by the CCT, that are most affected by 270, and that are most affected by all the projects that we're talking about. Thank you.